Hockeytown, it's a place where dreams are found. We fought so many battles here, now we're the ones that they will fear. The cup resides within our town, we won't stop no letting down. The cup is ours, we're all to drink. It's our time, let's rock this ring.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You are here with us, your hosts, once again, Carlo and Zach. Carlo, what's going on?
Man?
I got a new camera. I'm back from Nashville for a bachelor party. Had a lot of fun. How was your weekend, buddy?
Looking good. It was good. It was a good weekend. Celebrated a family birthday, so that was awesome. Nice and fun. Good food, good company, so that was a good time. We all got to, talk about Toronto and their playoffs, which was fun conversation, to say the least. But no, it was good. How about you? You had a busy one, didn't you?
Oh, man. Yeah, it was rough. So I actually got back in last night at around 8:30. It ended up being a 9-hour drive total, even with the hour change. But we hit 3 different heavy traffic spots. One semi-truck was stuck in 2 lanes, so it was down to 1 lane at one point. Yeah, it was just a messed up drive back. But going down there was cool. Being there was a lot of fun. Had a really great time. Got to go in a helicopter. Got to go in that. That was really fun.
That's
and then went
sweet.
to a concert. Yeah, I had a really good time. A lot of money spent, but I had a really good time. I hope my good friend Maxwell, Zach as well, Underwood, both of them, they're both brothers. Hope they had a blast as well. As much as I did. Max, congratulations. Can't wait for the wedding in October. And from there, Carlo, why don't we just go ahead and jump right into it? But before we do, I'm still getting used to this camera, so I'm not sure if I should look at it or my computer screen, but let's go ahead and jump into main topics. But before we do, we have to ask y'all, if you haven't already, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's hit the thumbs up button. Let's rate it 5 stars if you're on Spotify, and then also hit that follow button. Really does help us out, and we appreciate it. As always, if you're new, but if you're returning, thanks for coming back. We definitely appreciate that as well. And so, Carlo, let's jump into it. We're just going to jump right into the main topics, right? And y'all know why you're here, because we're going to talk about the Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider contract fiasco problem.
I wouldn't call it a fiasco, Zach.
Whatever you want, whatever you want to call it. Everyone's calling it something different. What would you call it?
I would call it amazing, because we haven't really had, when it comes to contract signings and contract extensions, whatever you want to call those, we haven't really had anything, as exciting that we do right now in these 2 young studs, number one. Number 2, the reason why these contracts are going to be exciting and fun to follow, fun to cover, and fun to talk about with everybody is because this is really going to set the course of the Red Wings for, call it the next decade. And obviously there's a lot of expectations within the next decade, as soon as these contracts get signed. So, 10 years from now, maybe it's a fiasco, but right now it's going to be very interesting to see how this all checks out, how this all plays out. Let's talk about it. What are we thinking here? What are you thinking here?
What are we thinking here? Well, yeah, let's just kind of state the obvious, right? And kind of do a little in-depth analysis about these 2 players. So let's kick it off with Lucas Raymond, born March 28th, 2002, just a couple days before my birthday on March 31st. Lucas
Not
Raymond.
A big deal. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. 22 years old. Gothenburg, Sweden, if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. And Elite Prospects moved everything around. I almost said the centimeters for him for his height, but he is 5'10", 183 pounds, shoots right, was drafted in the 2020 NHL entry draft, picked in the first round, 4th overall by the Detroit Red Wings, and comes from the Swedish Hockey League, playing from Frölunda's junior team all the way up to the big club, where he, in his last season, in 34 games, he put up 6 goals, 12 assists, 15 points, then made his way over to the Red Wings after the whole COVID situation, where in his tenure, his first season, 57 points, 23 goals. Okay, you showed us that you can be a 20-goal scorer. You go into the next season, you have a little bit of a sophomore slump, 74 games, 17 goals, 45 points. Then you come into this season, coming in a little bit late, but was still always there, but putting up 31 goals. So now we know that he's a 30-goal scorer, 41 assists for 72 points, and playing a full healthy season once again. And mind you, the only reason why he didn't play in a full healthy season last season is because of Ben Sherratt. Great. Okay. Lucas Raymond. I mean, this kid at 22 years old, he's definitely becoming the player that we need on this team. He's the player that we want on this team. It's all coming together, right? And so for this kid, what can't he do, right? I mean, he does everything that you would request in a player as good as he is at his young age, right? I mean, he can play on the PK. It's not really a strong suit, but he can play on the PK. Obviously plays on the power play. Really good 5-on-5, has a two-way game, can play 200 feet. He's a goal scorer. Also has a little bit of grit ever since he added on size in the offseason this season. So all around really good player, Carlo. I really don't know what else to say other than I guess I can go into the contract, but I kind of want to talk about this season and then some of the comparables that I wrote down, and we can kind of break it down that way and see what works, right? So
before you do, I just want to say one quick thing. You didn't say he can hit, and he can hit. Like the kid's got that bite. Like he can hit, and when he does, the place goes wild. I've seen it. I've been there. I've experienced it. It's amazing to see a 5'10" Lucas Raymond lay into somebody. I don't want to say lay somebody out. I think he laid out. It was either against Tampa or Toronto. I think he put the guy in the bench. I don't know if that was this year, but regardless, I digress. I just wanted to add that in there. Lucas Raymond is a jack of all trades, and he can hit. So I don't know what that's worth. I just wanted to put that onto the list because I'm really fired up about his contract, and that man should get paid.
No, he should get paid, and he probably will more than likely. But you're right. I kind of threw that into grit. So
that's where it triggered me.
But no, I'm right there with you. Yeah, he was laying out bodies out there ever since he threw on that size in the offseason. So good on him, and he's only going to get bigger, right? So there's going to be more bodies flying into the bench, right, Carlos? So we'll get there. We'll see more. And so, but some of the things I want to say about Lucas Raymond, talking about this season, he actually was 49th in the NHL in points, believe it or not, Carlo. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a top 50 player in terms of points. With 31 goals, 41 assists for 72 points. He was 43rd amongst forwards in points. Okay. He also drove the second line. He could play the top line. He's definitely a top 6 forward. That's not news, right? We all knew that. You didn't need me to tell you that. So some of the comparables that I have written down here, Carlo, and I have, how many points they put up. I have, their contracts, when they signed them, for how long, for how much. And so to me, these are probably the most comparable. There's definitely a few that I missed, I'm sure. But to me, in terms of age, value, what they do, I feel like that these are the most comparable. My first one's going to be Jesper Bratt from the New Jersey Devils, okay? 25 years old, 27 goals, 56 assists for 83 points. Has a cap hit of $7.875 million for 8 years, and that was signed in 2023. Is Lucas Raymond a Jesper Bratt? I think he's a little bit under Jesper Bratt, but I believe that that's just because he is younger currently right now. Yeah. But in your mind, what's the comparable look like to you there? Do you see that? Do you not? To me, I feel like that this is something that you could attach to a Lucas Raymond, and we would be okay with that. And I think he would be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, just for the sake of looking around the league, right, and just taking a peek at some of the comps. The only thing I'm curious about is his size, because Lucas is a pretty small dude, right? Mm-hmm. In the form of, an NHL athlete. So, you said Lucas Raymond was 5'10"?
5'10".
Yeah. Okay. Jesper Bratt's actually smaller. Wow. But what I was going to say, it's a fair comparison for sure. I think Raymond's got a higher ceiling though. I really do. I mean, if he's putting up, I think he's putting up more points this year than Bratt, right? I don't know if Bratt played a full 82.
Yeah, Jesper Bratt in 82 games he did play. He put up 27 goals, 56 assists for 83 points.
Oh, so he had more apples. Okay.
Yeah, and he's played in more seasons than Lucas Raymond has. His previous few seasons, he put up 73 points in both, one with 26 goals, the other one with 32. So he just increased his goal total. So we know that he's a 30-goal scorer, but he signed this after last season where he did put up the 32 goals. So Lucas Raymond doing the same thing, 1 point less, 1 goal less. I think that this is a really good comparable.
You know, it is 100%. Again, though, I just think based on the age, like you said, Raymond's younger. I think the ceiling's a little bit higher for Ray. I really do. Yeah. And I'm trying to say that as unbiased as possible, but like it's just simple math. He's a younger player who's gotten significantly better over one off season. So it's like, okay, go and give him another 2 or 3 off seasons, and let's compare him, you know, when he's 25 years old and what he's put up since then. I think it's gonna be higher than Brad's average.
Yeah, younger.
And that's not a shot on Brad. Brad's sick.
No, he is sick. And Lucas Raymond is younger than him by 3 years, and he's already matching point totals that Brad did at the age of 24, and Lucas Raymond did that at 22, 23 years old. Right. So I'm right there with you, but I still think the overall point totals are going to be very close to the same when their careers are done. I do think that Lucas Raymond had a bit of a easier opportunity, I guess you can say, because the New Jersey Devils were bad, but so were the Red Wings, I guess. So maybe I'm wrong there by saying that, but I feel like Lucas Raymond always had the opportunity to thrive where maybe Brat didn't, or Brett, whatever his last name is. But also we don't have a Jack Hughes. We don't have all these other really good players that the New Jersey Devils have. And Lucas Raymond seems to do it all. Like I said, I put down on here, he drives the second line. He can play on the top line easy, but so can Jesper Bratt. So, but in terms of this contract value, 8 years by 7.875, that's probably the ballpark that you're probably going to get with Lucas Raymond, but I would not be shocked if it's higher. Right. And so we'll say what we think that it's going to be after I go through these next 2. I got 2 more here for you. And
for sure.
Go through these. The next one I have, you'll probably like this one, Carlo, because I know a lot of Red Wings fans really want to trade for this player because he might not want to go over to Utah and be a snow blizzard guy or whatever the team names.
I know what you're saying.
Clayton Keller, 25 years old. Let's see here. 33 goals, 43 assists for 76 points. And I'll pull up how many games he played. But $7.15 million for 8 years. But this was signed in 2019, Carlo. So you got to think that's.
You got what?
$7.15 million.
7.15. Wow.
This was signed 5 years ago in 2019, though. So remember that the cap was roughly about the same, a little bit less, and he was 20 years old. So they took risk doing that with someone like him, technically, and even though they did it, you know, do you think that they believed that they were going to be where they are now? Somewhat same situation as the Red Wings, where you're kind of out of a playoff spot. They were good this season. They were
better. Absolutely. They were better for sure. I think Clayton Keller is just an unreal talent. So, I mean, he's going to get, and again, it's like, you got to respect when you have something like a Clayton Keller, like a Lucas Raymond. You know, if you want to lock him up and you want to make him part of your club, then you got to pay him. Right. You know, but 7.1, wow, that's a great looking contract today.
Yeah. He played in 78 games this season. The most he's ever put up was 86 points, and that was last season in 82 games, 37 goals, 49 assists. Can Lucas Raymond get up to there? Absolutely. All these players that I'm listening or saying are very similar in terms of like points, right? Where they could go up or they could go down depending on the season, right? And so for a person or a player like Clayton Keller to do this on an Arizona Coyotes team, you know, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, that's kind of exactly what Lucas Raymond did. Obviously, Clayton Keller plays on their top line. He plays in all situations. Really good 200-foot player. Yeah, this is just a steal of a deal for the Arizona Coyotes, and this is something that Steve Yzerman should try and get if he can. Do I think it's going to go down this low? Absolutely not. I do not believe that. Not anymore. If you asked me at the beginning of the season, I would say that 7.15 was too much for Lucas Raymond at the beginning of the season, if you asked me. So now it's way above that. You could go up an extra mill and a half, and you might be overpaying the first couple years, but down the stretch, it's going to be worth it if you can lock it in for those 8 years, Carlo. Overall, though, Clayton Keller, Lucas Raymond, similarities. What do you notice there?
Definitely some similarities there. Size, type of player, the way they play the game. Definitely a great call and a great comparison. For sure, some similarities there. And that 7.1 contract just looks unreal, looks dynamite. However, I don't know, with the move to Utah, does that change up where Clayton Keller wants to play? I mean, I guess remains to be seen. Hopefully it does for our sake, because that contract's awesome. But no, comparison-wise, I would say right on the money, man. That's a great call, great comp. Yeah, it's actually exciting. It's exciting to think about Lucas, because again, he's so young, right? He's so young. He's a baby deer, so he's got some room. He's got some room to grow.
He definitely does. Yeah, we all got room to grow, right? Eventually, so
always.
The last one that I have here, this one's probably the most comparable, right? And has been ever since that he got this contract inked up, and that would be with Matt Boldy of the Minnesota Wild, who is currently 23 years old. 69 points this season and 75 games played, 29 goals, 40 assists. Nice point total there, Matt. I like that. So
Totally.
A little bit bigger than Lucas Raymond, 6'2", 201 pounds. His contract comes in at 7 years for $7 million, and that was signed last year, Carlo. This is, looking back at it, a lot of people were nervous about this because just like any young player that you sign really young like that to a lot of money, it's scary, right? You just truly never know what you're going to get. Granted, you probably know that he's going to be a good player, but overall, the team wise, right? What's that going to look like? And how is this going to affect the team's cap hit in the future? And that's what you got to start asking about these Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider contracts that are upcoming, right? How are these going to affect the future? But 7x7, Carlo, for
killer value. Unreal value.
For what he's done, I mean, over a 60-point player for the last 2 seasons, almost a 70-point player. He would have been if he played in the last 7 games or the 7 games that he missed. Yeah, in terms of comparing the two, I think Lucas Raymond overall will be the better player. I think he has more of an edge. I think that he has more of an ability to drive the game for his line than Matt Boldy might. But then again, I'm also being a little biased because I watch Lucas Raymond more than I do Matt Boldy.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Still, those are my thoughts, right? What about you, Carlo? What do you think about that?
About the comp, and again, another great call. Definitely a bigger player. I like Boldy every time. I think he kills us every time he plays us too. So that name definitely stands out. But I was actually surprised. I didn't know that. I wasn't familiar with Keller's contract, Boldy's contract. That's very interesting. And prior to us hitting record and getting into this, I had a number in my head of what I was thinking, Lucas would probably get. And hearing about those 2 contracts, that number's kind of gone down a little bit. I guess it's more of a range now, as opposed to being dead set on what I thought the number was going to be and throwing out my best guess. But no, Zach, killer job, man. Those are all great comparisons. And again, folks, we have so much to look forward to, with those names. I mean, Boldy, I think, is the same age as Ray. I think he's 22, 23 max. But nonetheless, we have a lot to be excited about when we're speaking about Lucas Raymond, in the same breath as these guys. Or maybe these guys are lucky to be, thought of in the same breath as Lucas Raymond, which is something that I think I'm leaning towards just with his level of play this season. It truly was amazing to watch, and to just watch him call game, whenever he wanted to, especially towards the end. It was truly incredible. Like, it was awesome. It was I haven't jumped out of my chair, couch, where I was standing for these last 4 games. I didn't even sit. I was literally standing up pacing. It was amazing. I haven't done that wearing Wings gear in a very long time.
Yeah, no, I said that on the last episode too. I mean, that's why I gave the team, a solid grade, because I thought that the performance overall from everyone, including Lucas Raymond, he definitely put on a lot of good moments for us as Wings fans. And so in terms of what he's going to ask for his contract, Carlo, I'm going to assume it's going to be anywhere between 8x8 to 8x8.5. I really believe that that's what it's going to be. And I don't mean to scare anyone, and I'm not trying to raise a comparable here, but I'm looking at this list, of all the forwards this season and have them listed by how many points total that they've done. Did you know that Lucas Raymond tied Mika Zibanejad in points this season?
I did not know that, but Zibanejad had a bit of an off year this year.
Yeah.
Bit of a down year.
Do you know how much Zibanejad, how much his cap hit is?
Is it in the 9s?
$8.5 million.
Signed when?
Yeah, great question. That part I don't know, but I can pull that up real quick.
I feel like he just got signed recently.
That was signed in 2021.
There it is. Okay.
So 3 years back. But when he signed that, he had only gone up to 75 points where he put up 41 goals. Took a little dip, had 50 points in 56 games, but then that's when he started becoming the 80-plus point player. Yeah, this season he had a little down year, but the Rangers still did really good, right? But I just wanted to throw that out there. That's someone who makes $8.5 million. Yeah, he once put up 90 points, but that was after he signed that contract, right? So 8.5 is realistic, everyone. It really is. He can arm twist Steve Yzerman if he wanted to. However, I'll ask the question later, but let's go into before I do that, I'm getting ahead of myself here, folks. How much, Carlo, let's ask this question. How much do you believe that Lucas Raymond's going to get? If it's an 8-year contract.
If it's an 8-year contract, so I think it's going to be between 7.5 and 8 million. And the number that I like the most is 7.75 by 8. That's what I like the most for Ray. Whether or not he accepts that or takes that remains to be seen. I'm just throwing that one out there. But I'm hoping that, I'm hoping Ray and Seider can get done for a total combined cap hit of 15 million. Or less, which I don't think is too realistic, but 15 is that sweet number in order for us to be able to still pay some other people, bring some people in, you know what I mean, without having to, move too many people. As much as we would all like to move some contracts, I think on the last episode, I even mentioned moving quite a few contracts. Obviously not super realistic. I think there's probably 1 or 2 that could go, but getting into the 3 or 4 unrealistic. So for that reason, I think it's super important for Mo and Ray to come in at that 15 million mark combined, if possible. Otherwise, this is going to get very interesting very quickly. But that's where I'm at, Zach. I'm thinking between 7.5 and 8. My number is 7.75 by 8 years. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll be back, folks. As soon as these contracts sign, we're popping right back online and we're breaking them down. Some fun with it, but that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, if we have to make a short video, we will. If you can't make it, sorry, but I might have to do it on my own. But we'll always talk about it on the next episode too. But yeah, I didn't talk about this, so thanks for bringing up, combined cap hit, and let's talk about the overall cap that the Red Wings have to utilize in this upcoming offseason. That's $29,067 million, so $67,000 on top of that 29 mil, with 13 players signed to contracts, Carlo. So
10 players.
So 10 players is essentially what you still need to sign. That's not accounting for, the cheaper contracts, which will probably be Berggren, Johansson, players like those. So going up against that cap. So if we implemented that 15 mil, like you were saying, that the Red Wings are left with 14 mil for players like Patrick Kane, David Perron, Christian Fischer, even if you wanted to bring them back for another year. But I would agree with you. For a combined total, you're probably looking at 15. But it's going to be, it's going to hurt our souls, Carlo. That's all I can really say. It's not going to end up really well. And I think it's going to be more than that, unfortunately. But But let's go into Seider real quick, because this one is a little more tricky. I honestly thought that Raymond's was going to be more tricky until I found the other players that I used as comparables.
Yeah.
Seider is a different story, personally to me, because there are a lot of defensemen in this league that are overpaid, Carlo. Well, we know that. Ben Sherratt, look at
him. Hey, Ben.
Justin Hall, even, you can say that. Yeah, it's only $3 million, but crap, dude. Like, it's easy. So for Moritz Seider, going into him, it is his third season, 33rd in points among defensemen in the NHL, 9 goals, 33 assists for 42 points. Has played all 82 games for the last 3 seasons as well, right? So he's never missed a game. That's fantastic of him. He's our top right-handed D pair. Probably would be on any other team except for maybe the Colorado Avalanche, where they have Cale Makar.
Yeah.
Right? Plays major minutes. Always out there. You know, if it's a game going... Like, imagine if they went into OT for playoffs. He's playing 35 minutes. You know, he's that type of guy. Plays PK, plays power play. He does it all. Big body, sick accent, amazing flow, just an all-around good guy, great player, and great teammate. We love him. We don't want him to go anywhere else, and he said he wants to stay here too. So much like Lucas Raymond did as well. So, but Carlo, I didn't do this like I did for Raymond. I'm kind of grouping 3 players into this like 3 separate pool thing that I created here. So, and I have it based on their cap hit, right? And basically, I want you to tell me if you believe that these players, or if you believe that Lucas Raymond is better than these groups of players. You with me?
Got you.
All right, bud. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Before I continue, let us know down in the comments what you believe that Lucas Raymond is going to get on his next contract. Let us know also from Moritz Seider. You know, we want to hear what y'all think. We want to hear different things, so that way we can collaborate. That's a really difficult word for me to say. Collaboratively, you know, come up with some genius idea.
Way to sound that one out, pal. Good job.
I try my best. I try. I swear I do. But yeah, collaboratively, you know, come up with ideas and think. And I just thought process on how these contracts are going to come up and how they're going to reflect this team in the future, because that's what we're here to talk about, right?
Yes. Yes.
So the first group of players, Carlo, this group of players make 8.5 mil or less. So anywhere between, I think it was like 8.3 to 8.5 million dollars.
Okay, so it's over 8. All these guys are over 8.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
They're all right-handed shooting defensemen, I believe. They're listed as both, actually. This group, now that I'm remembering.
Sorry, we're comparing this group to Seider, correct?
Correct. And
okay.
And I'm basically asking you if you believe if Seider is better than all 3 of these players, or tell me which ones you believe that he might be better than. But these are the 3 players that I have put down that are making over $8 million. Miro Heiskanen with the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
Owen Power of the Buffalo Sabres.
Yep.
Jake Sanderson, Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, I mean,
all these players are under 23, I believe. It may be 24.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. I'm looking at like, so I'm looking back, and I'm not looking that far back, but like when Seider, or when the Red Wings played Buffalo, what was it? Like, that wasn't that long ago.
No.
Seider stood out way more than Power did. Now, I know there's been games where Power does really well and stands out. The games aren't against the Wings, so maybe we're not as in tune to that as we normally would be with Red Wing players or Red Wing opponents. But when I was watching that Buffalo game and I looked at Seider and I looked at Power, I'm like, dude, Seider's way ahead of this guy. Just his physicality. You know, I think Seider, one thing he can probably do a little bit better of is that outlet pass, that quick first pass out of the zone. Like, that's something he needs to work on. And I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. But, I mean, overall, everything else, like, I want Seider over Power. Sanderson, same thing. Heiskanen, absolutely. Like, yes, I want Seider over. And I'm not trying to jab these guys either. Like, Sanderson's a great defenseman. Heiskanen's he's a really good defenseman too. But I don't know. There's just Seider has this different approach to his game He's tough as nails. He blocks shots. He lays hits. You know what I mean? I'm hoping he can become, a very good quarterback on the power play. I think he's being asked to play a different role, which is why we're not seeing him thrive as that quarterback on the power play. But I'll tell you right now, if Seider's not playing those 23 minutes per game and he's not playing the role of go shut down every single top line in the NHL, is Seider now quarterbacking the power play? And is he like being ranted and raved about across the interwebs? 100% he is, because that guy's got the whole package. He's got the whole package. You can't deny that. Are there areas that he needs to improve on? Yeah. Are there areas that Steve Yzerman needs to improve to help Seider improve? Yeah. So, like, this is still kind of I don't want to say a premature conversation, but there's a lot that we're going to see change, I think, with Mo Seider's development path when this team starts to get tweaked, which should start very soon. Steve, anytime you want to start signing and, picking up the phone, doing your thing, go for it, buddy. We're here. We're waiting. We're ready to cover it. But Zach, to answer your question, I would much rather Seider than all three of those guys. Yes, there is some thought that you have to put into it. It's not like it's a no-brainer. But when you look at Seider's game and the complete package that he brings, I want Seider over those three guys for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably see an argument for Miro Heiskanen, top value pick. I believe he was like the 3rd or 4th overall pick.
He's a good player, but I'm not trying to discredit him here. He's really good player.
Yeah, and he also shoots left, so he's a left-handed defenseman. I actually believe all three of these defensemen are left-handed defensemen that I named off. And so, Carlo, I mean, I'm probably selecting Moritz Seider out of all these names, right?
Yeah.
1, because he plays right-handed D. 2, because of his big body and frame. He's a lot of grit, right? He can quarterback a power play. I firmly believe that he can. And you're right. His role was switched around ever since Derek Lalonde came in. He was doing that for Jeff Blashill. Granted, he was given the opportunity to, because the Red Wings didn't have much to work other than him. And
they didn't have Shane Gosbury, right? So,
but I'm right there with you, where I believe there's a lot of Moritz Seider that we have not seen yet. And it's for years to come. And so, but going and talking about how much that these players make, well, I should say, you can make the argument with Heiskanen, but I'm probably taking Moritz Seider over Power and Sanderson. But then again, I'm taking Seider over Heiskanen because of the siding that he plays on. In terms of how much, could Moritz Seider make the 8.5 or the 8.3, the lowest point that these players have? Absolutely. I think if these three players can get it, I think Mo Seider has a really good shot. Because like I said, Carlo, there's a lot of defensemen on this list that are extremely overpaid. And we're going to see that here actually on not the next one, but it will be the last pair. So, Carlo, let's go ahead and jump into that next pair. And these are players making $9 million. Okay. Dougie Hamilton for the New Jersey Devils. Cale Makar, once again, bringing him up again, for the Colorado Avalanche, and Alex Pietrangelo for the Vegas Golden Knights.
I mean, those guys are all studs. Like, those guys are, first of all, they're massive. They're absolute trees. And they're shut down D-man. Cale Makar, to call him a D-man, like, I feel like that's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of wrong, because he's like a D-man / rover. Like, you see him go end to end the other night?
I did.
Like, yeah, like he's a defenseman, yeah, but like, he is 100% a rover. That guy can play probably any position better than like the bottom 50% of the league's positional players in that spot. But anyways, yeah, I don't think Seider's at that level. Like, let's gonna call a spade here. Like, I just don't think Seider's that kind of defenseman. Seider's got a unique.
They play two very different games. I will agree with you. Yes, correct.
Yes. So I honestly have a hard time seeing Seider get 8.5, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, before we start talking about the money, let's talk about comparing Seider with these other two. I know that you said, that these are other top talent players, but like Mo Seider, I feel like that he can become a Pietrangelo. I think he fits Pietrangelo very well. Dougie Hamilton, he's also someone who just puts up ridiculous numbers by scoring. He could score. Moritz Seider can score, but he hasn't given that opportunity to have his coach say, just go out there and shoot clap bombs all game.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point because he doesn't really clap bombs.
No, not very often. I think he's very, very few often, right? I mean, like he a lot of his goals.
He can.
A lot of his goals probably came off clap bombs, but not as much as like these players that we're talking about right here, right?
Yeah.
Where Moritz Seider is still, and let's be honest, right? All these players I named outside of Makar, Hamilton, Pietrangelo speaking, these are older players that have been around a while, right? Lucas Raymond, very much closer to age in Makar. Or I said Lucas Raymond. Moritz Seider closer to age in Makar, but let's be honest, Carlo, that Makar contract, that's a steal at $9 million.
Oh, dude, it's nasty. It's
a steal for them.
All the contracts on Colorado are unbelievable. Like, if you go look at their cap friendly, it's a masterclass. Yeah. It is an absolute masterclass.
Well, that's because of what they did with Nathan McKinnon. They got Nathan McKinnon for a steal, and that's what Steve Yzerman have to try and do with Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond. And that's probably a comparable that Steve Yzerman will probably use. And that's, you're talking to Moritz Seider's agent, Lemieux, who used to play for the Colorado Avalanche. I'm sure he still talks to people over there and probably understands that too. And so, for some of these players, Carlo, even if you told them, hey, we're going to give you like 8x6, that's still a lot of freaking money, dude. So I don't think that they would be upset. Yeah, you want to get paid to the comparable that some of these other players, but $9 million, I don't think it's going to happen for Seider. I think this season has helped keep his cap hit stagnant of what it was going to look like after this season, right? Like if you asked me at the beginning of the season what his contract was going to look like, I was probably going to tell you 8x8. Now, if you going into this offseason, I'm kind of right around there still. But I know based on this market and some of these names that I'm naming, he has a really good shot because this next list is gonna scare you a little bit, Carlo, because the people making 9.5, there's one name in particular on here that doesn't help. And Moritz Seider and his agent can go right up to Steve, say, have you seen this guy and how much he makes? Those three players are Charlie McAvoy, Adam Fox, and Seth Jones.
Wow, Seth Jones. Wow.
$9.5 million.
Wow. I don't even know what to say.
Now, in terms of being better, Moritz Seider is better than Seth Jones. Seth Jones fell off a cliff. I don't know if he was just overhyped, overrated, what teams were seeing in him. I know what they saw in him. Very big guy, good defensively, but something happened. I don't know what it was or what it is, but in terms of these other players, I mean, is Seider McAvoy? Is he Adam Fox, Carlo?
So this is the thing, Zach. Is Seider in his prime right now? I don't think he is. He's not.
No.
You know what I mean? So
neither is Raymond.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, honestly, I don't want to go too far ahead, but like, I can honestly see a world where they both get bridge deals too because of that fact.
We were going to get there.
I know, but like Adam Fox, Seth Jones at 9.5. You got to remember though, dude, there was a time, and it was like right before the pandemic where players were getting paid. Like, these guys were throwing money at players that had no business getting this kind of money
because they thought the cap was going to continue going up, and then COVID
right
happened.
So right, so obviously that happens and everything kind of comes to a halt, and now you're kind of sitting there paying Seth Jones 9.5. Like, that's crazy.
Chicago Blackhawks, yeah.
Oh man. So I mean, damn, this is going to be very interesting, man, because I don't know if what team, we got to look at this. What team has had, high ceiling caliber players in the last year? Like, let's go back to last offseason. that got signed, and what did they get signed for? I'm trying to think of last offseason and what some kids coming off of ELCs got signed for. Because that kind of gives you the direction of what those teams are going in, which gives you the market direction and market trend of what's going to happen here, right? But I can't think of any right now. But
not very many under 24-year-olds though signing those contracts that you're probably asking for, and that's why I came up with those comparables for it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, you look at Heiskanen, Power, Sanderson, all of them, they're under, I believe, 24. Maybe Heiskanen's a little bit older, but same thing with Lucas Raymond. I mean, all those players were relatively around the same age as him. So that's kind of what you got to work off of. I'm sure there's probably one or two that you could use as a case study, but in terms of them being very similar, like the odds of that, I'm not really sure. But 9.5 for Seider, I don't think it's going to happen, but
I can't see that.
So at this point, so let me ask this question now. Do you think that either of them will make more than Larkin?
Oh, I was thinking about that. Right now, no. If they were in their primes, obviously the answer is easy, yes.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I don't think either of them will for this contract, whether if that's for a bridge or an 8-year deal. If it's for an 8-year deal, I still don't think it will. Who do you think would be able to get it if you had to pick one? More than what Luke or Dylan Larkin makes right now. If there was between Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider, if you had to pick one, who would you think could make more than Larkin?
I would say Lucas Raymond. Like if Lucas Raymond, for example, if Lucas Raymond signed a bridge deal, his next contract would be higher than Larkin's for sure.
Well, let's throw that bridge deal out. But I'm saying like right now, if you had to pick one, it would probably be Lucas Raymond because I think that his ceiling is higher than what Moritz Seider is currently. Not saying that Moritz Seider doesn't have a ceiling still that he needs to hit, but I think Raymond's is higher because of just the untapped potential that we have not seen yet, right? In terms of production.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. But it's the one thing Yzerman's got going for him in this negotiation is their age, and that's one thing I think he's going to leverage big time. He's like, listen, guys, we put you on a 4-year deal, 3-4-year deal. We're having this conversation again in 4 years. You're betting on yourself, and you guys are both trending very, very well. You want to lock things up now. I'm sure Steve's got his ears open on that scenario too. But I also think Steve's going to push back and be like, listen, if you do 3 or 4, here's the good thing that can happen. Based off of you continue to develop and go at the rate that you're going at. So, wow.
So do you believe that both are going to sign an 8-year deal? Or you should also let me know. What do you think that Moritz Seider is going to get? Are you firm on like an 8x8? Are you just under 8? I could see a case where he doesn't even do the 8-year deal. I think he goes the 4 to 5 route or something, or does a bridge deal. I know we're kind of stepping ahead in what I'm saying, but he's the one I think who needs to take that flyer on himself and be like, yeah, I'll just take the cap cut for now. I guess if that's what you want to call it, right? Just make 6x6 for a little bit, and then by the time I'm 29, I can cash in on that 8-year deal, play here until I'm 37, done deal, right? I guess just let the rabbit hole sink in, Carlo. Just go into it and let us know what you think.
I out of the two, I can see Seider taking the bridge deal. I also see a world where they both take, smaller contracts. But if I think Raymond's got to get locked up for 8 years, like I think it just has to happen.
Minimum 7.
Yeah. 7, like a longer term deal for sure. But for Seider, like I could totally see him being, willing to talk about a 3 or 4, probably a 4-year deal, which would be awesome for the next 4 years of this team and what still needs to be done. We talk about plug players that are currently here, them leaving, another wave of players coming in. Seider taking a bridge deal, I think is good for him in the long run, but it's obviously really good for the team too, because now you have a little bit more play But out of the two, I see Mo taking or getting or both the bridge deal, and Raymond getting that long-term 7-8 year deal for sure. I would love, oh my God, I would love for both those guys to come in at a combined 15 million. Oh my Lord, that would be fantastic. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just have the strange feeling in my gut that it's going to be closer to 16 to 17 mil for both of them. If you are going to
Well,
do
that's
8-year
that's
deals,
realistic.
because I can see a world where you just slightly overpay for the first year or two for them. And that would probably most likely be on Mo Seider's end if you were going to pay him that much right away. Only because I guess it depends on what you're asking out Moritz Seider. Do you want him to put up more points, like 10 to 15 more points?
Yeah.
Do you want him to start quarterbacking a power play? But then you got to look at the team around too. Like I said, you only have 13 players signed. Once you sign those contracts, you got to start looking at the future. What's the defense as a whole going to look like? Are they going to bring Shane Ghostbear back? What are they going to do with, now they got Edvinson up. You have Ben Sherratt, Oli Mata, Jake Wallman. What's that left side going to look like? What's the whole entire future? Albert Johansson, Then you look at the forwards, it's kind of more cut and clear, right? I mean, Lucas Raymond, no doubt, top six. I mean, or Moritz Seider as well, top pair and defenseman. But like the defense as a whole is very, how do I want to say this? A mystery. It's very much a mystery still, right? Like we just don't know what we're going to get. We know what players are going to be coming up eventually down the line.
Yeah.
But what's it going to shape out into, right? We can't keep them all. Andrew Gibson, we're going to talk about him here pretty shortly, but yeah, they just signed him. He's another right-handed defenseman. ASP, we're going to talk about him pretty soon here as well. That's another right-handed defenseman, but those players need time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
still ways away.
Overall, yeah, long-winded answer to be short. Yeah, I believe Lucas Raymond, he's going to be anywhere between 7.75 on a good note. I hope that's what it's going to be more around on the high end. I could see going anywhere to 8.5. Could I see 9? I could see 9. You're just paying more, up front, just suck it up for first couple of years, because that's probably where you're looking at. You're not looking at how are we going to be these next 2 years. No, I want to think about how we're going to be in the next 4 years. Right? How are these contracts going to look for this team in the next 4 years if I do this? So, and that's why the bridge comes in place too, right? You got to start asking yourself, could you do the bridge? And what could Mo Seider get if you did do a bridge with him? But Lucas Raymond, that's what I'm saying. 7.75 anywhere to 8.5. I think that's a good range. You probably don't want to try and go any higher than that. Can you go lower in that? Absolutely. Please do that. Please. For Mo Seider, Mo Seider, I think you gotta stand firm on the 8x8. I think that's more than fair for someone like him. To me, I feel like you would be overpaying a little bit. But that's someone who blocks a lot of shots. That's someone who hits a lot. That is someone who is more than willing to put his body on the line. And so for that, I'm willing to give him the extra mil, right? Or else I would say give him a 7x8. 7 mil, 8 years.
Question. So I don't know exactly how this works, but when it comes to the cap hit in season, whether it's this year, next year, the year after that, et cetera, if they could sign, you want to go rich on Raymond, and I get it, but getting closer to the 9, how you can see that, Seider getting into the 8.5 by 8 years, like obviously these are all realistic numbers, but if Steve designs these contracts so that the cap hits for the first 4 years are low, and then they're backloaded deals, I would obviously, I'm okay with that too, because it saves us money now, because we're gonna be kind of crunched going into next year, and players we need to sign. So the lower the cap hit, obviously, the better. And then backloading them as they get older and hit their prime and start hitting their expectations and their ceiling. That's probably how I would do it, and how I would get away with signing these guys and locking them up for, both of them locking up for 8-year deals, over 8 million as an example, is really try to backload those deals and pay them that rich, probably 9.5, maybe even 10, higher than Larkin numbers in 4 years from now, and start backloading it. So we can get them. You know what I'm saying?
So I do hear what you're saying. I think I do. So the only thing is with that is like, let's say like what you're saying, right? You pay him. Let's just use Moritz Seider as the example, right? You sign him to that 8-year deal. The only issue is that you would have to combine it all, and then that's your AAV for the cap hit, right? So like, yes, it technically helps, but it still doesn't really help you out, right? So you can be like, hey, for the first 3 years, we'll pay you $2 million, and then the last like 5 years, we'll pay you the 6 or whatever.
I mean, but that's not helping the cap. That's not really helping the cap, right?
Right, exactly.
It's just broken down that.
So for your what you're saying, yes and no. Like, it doesn't help.
It doesn't really make sense. If it doesn't help out the cap, then it doesn't really matter how they.
That would matter for someone, how we say, or at least in our group chat. I can't remember if we said it on this podcast. That would make more sense for someone like Patrick Kane, right?
Yeah.
Where you technically do that, or you do it by signing bonuses or whatever else.
Yeah.
Right? So
performance bonus, whatever.
But yeah, Seider, I think that in terms of a bridge deal, I think he's more than likely the candidate to get a bridge deal. Lucas Raymond, I could see him getting a bridge deal too, but Steve Yzerman's first focal point should be hitting that 8-year deal button right on his computer keypad.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Carlo, I don't have anything much to say. I mean, we talked on this a lot longer than I thought we were going to, but that's okay, honestly.
Well, you had a good little run there. That was a really good little comparison, and the way you grouped those players together within their contracts was very eye-opening, honestly. So that was a really cool exercise, if you want to call it that. That was very eye-opening, very, very good. And yeah, it did go longer than we anticipated, but that's for those good old reasons. Zach came to play.
I kept those hidden from you guys. My apologies.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to make it like a big secret and like a surprise and just like dump it on you, you know, but like just had to whip up a little something. But all right, well, let's move on. You know, just quickly touch on. Actually, no, let's talk about the other thing that we wanted to talk about. So we're still technically in main topics. Carlo, I'll let you talk about this one since you're the one who brought it up, the goalie thing.
Okay, so there's not a whole lot to this one, folks. Let's start there. But I've been seeing a few rumblings of some goalie rumors with Detroit. And the one that stood out to me, and I'll ask more of a direct question to everybody because I'm honestly genuinely curious about the general state of all the wingnuts out there and if they would be comfortable doing this. But I saw a hypothetical where it was Markstrom from Calgary coming to Detroit, with Detroit sending Husso and a first-round pick to Calgary. So first thing I thought about was, do we want to send a first-round pick? And that's my question directly to, all of Red Wings faithful is, are you comfortable sending a first-round pick for a Markstrom?
Quick question.
And I'll ask you the same thing, Zach. So go ahead.
Quick question for that. So this year's first, right?
Correct.
So the 15th overall pick.
Yeah, and honestly, I personally have a hard time with this for two reasons. But before I give you my answer on would I send Husso in a first, if you haven't already dropped a comment on what you would do, or if you're comfortable with something like that, please do. But let's hear from Zach. Zach, are you doing that deal?
I am someone who is probably not. I think so. Wow. Yeah, this is a little stumper because I really haven't had time to think about this one. So I'm someone who's kind of on the fence where I think Husso is a buyout candidate. Calgary obviously is in a different direction, although they might not want to fully move forward with that transition because they did trade a lot of players away, but they gained a lot of assets in return. They still have someone like Huberdeau. They still have Nazem Kadri. They still have who's that one right-handed defenseman? Josh Anderson. Am I thinking that correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
They still have a couple other players too. I don't think that they technically want to get rid of Markstrom either. But I guess for me, if I no, I don't really feel comfortable with it. I wouldn't do that. Only because I do think still that you could buy out Husso. But I guess like if Calgary felt okay with Husso, right? Like they actually think like he could still be a 1A, 1B goaltender. Let's just call it that, right? Not a backup, not technically a starter, but shares a role with another goaltender, right? I'm not including the first. That's not what I'm doing. Probably at most I would give him a second. I would only include the first if we knew for a fact that Husso could not play. That's the only time I'm including the first. So,
well, you'd have to, right? Because at that point, you're basically saying, "Hey, take this contract for me, essentially, and burn it." Is what you're, and that's kind of why I think I seen the first being thrown around. Now, I honestly don't know if it's this year's first. I don't know if it's next year's first. That part I don't know. Like I'm just going at this at face value. I'm like, wow. I'm like, would I be willing to? And if you want to, again, this is all hypothetical. If you want to, visualize this year's first for me, dude, I'm not comfortable with it either because I'm not. Go ahead.
Sorry. The other thing is that Markstrom has a higher cap hit too, so you're technically taking on more money. Either way, if Calgary retained half of that, I could swallow it a little bit more. You're taking a bum Husso and you're taking our first for us to get 2 years of $3 million of Jakob Markstrom for 2 more years. I don't really like his age. I like the player. I think he can be a number 1 goaltender for the Detroit Red Wings if we were to trade for him. But the first is a little too sweet for me. I would do Husso in a second if they retain cap too. But I can't remember any goalie trade in NHL history lately that included a first. So
I think it's more to get rid of Husso.
It would be, correct. Well, we've never seen a trade quite like that before. So, but for me personally, I'm saying no. But obviously, if push comes to shove to where, I've seen the free agent goalie market. It's not good. If you guys want to go ahead and take a look at that yourselves, go ahead. But yeah, if Husso can't play, then at that point, just buy him out then or put him on LTIR. I'm not trading the first, and then you just go with Alex Lyon, and then I guess trade for a different goalie if you can. That's a little bit cheaper in terms of the cost to acquire him and his cap hit. So I'm saying no to it overall, Carlo.
Yeah. And honestly, I kind of expect the majority to feel that way. I'm kind of in that train of thought too. It's no guarantee that we get this player this year, but there's one player that I'm super high on. That's a possibility, a good possibility for the Red Wings to get in Liam Greentree, captain of my Windsor Spitfires. Not a big deal. But this player, man, like he's already 6'3", over 200 pounds, killer shot. I mean, the Wings could use a power forward with size and hands and a shot. Now, I don't want to who knows if he's going to be available? We don't know, but that's where I'm looking at. Do I want to give away the opportunity to go and get a player like that for Markstrom? And I don't think I'm there. I don't think I'm there yet. Now, and then this is where it comes into, can we give away next year's first round pick? Because I really don't think the Wings are going to be picking 15th overall next year. I have them picking like 22nd, 23rd overall next year.
Be careful what you wish for, Carlo.
I know. Listen. I'm just having conversation. I understand, man. I get it. But if we can do something like that, where it's next year's first and Husso, then maybe that's something to consider. Just because of where we're at today, that's set in stone. We're picking 15. And hey, who knows? Maybe it's a draft floor trade, man. You never know. If the guys Yzerman wants aren't there, and he's got an opportunity to go get a stud goalie, even if it's not Markstrom, but it's a number 1 starting goalie, like in that Vezina caliber, do you do it? You have to think about it. You have to. Like in the state we're in, you have to.
It really just depends too. Not trying to go too deep in the rabbit hole on this one, but it depends on how much more competitive are you really going to look at being for these next 2 years if you did make that trade for Jakob Markstrom and kept him for these next 2 years. You might be able to win one playoff, series, maybe.
Yeah. You got to look at it that way
next
too, for sure.
next
100%.
season, the season after that. I mean, it really all depends. Is Patrick King coming back?
Yeah, I know. Like hey, there you go.
We'll talk about his cryptic.
Please come back, Patrick King. Please come back. Sign with us.
We'll talk about his.
I think he's coming back.
Yeah,
I think he's coming back.
Yeah, we'll talk about his cryptic tweet here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But Carlo, let's go ahead and jump into some Red Wings news. So yeah, I guess just right out the gate, let's just talk about the Patrick Kane tweet, where majority of players from the team, they came out on Twitter or Instagram, whatever platform that they were on, and said there, great season. Thanks everybody. Farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. Right? We'll see y'all next season. But Showtime. Patrick Kane says, "Thank you, Red Wings, my teammates, coaches, and all the fans of Hockeytown for welcoming me and my family with open arms this season. This past year gave us memories we'll never forget. The work doesn't stop. Hashtag, let's go Red Wings."
That hashtag.
Good hashtag. I love it. It's my favorite. Yeah, this is everyone's going to take it very differently. That's what it seems like so far, right? If you're not on social media, everyone's up in arms, everyone's, staying calm. Me personally, I think he's just trying to be a salesman a little bit, honestly. So I think he realizes, how much that he can probably get. But I don't think in terms of I don't think it comes down to how much can I make. I think it's how long can I get in terms of what he's looking for. And I think he's trying to twist the arms a little bit of saying, like, I want 3 years. I don't want 1 or 2. I want 3 or more. Can you give me that? And I think that's what he's trying to do in this. Well, not specifically in this message, but this message, I think he wants to be here.
You just nailed it. I do too.
But I can see where people, on the more pessimistic side, were like, "Yep, goodbye, see ya." That's all she wrote. That's what he's saying. I could see where people are getting that from too. So, but you think that he's coming back? I know that you think that he's coming back.
Yeah, I do. There's not a doubt in my mind that I think he's coming back. I think he's negotiating, man.
But
I think you said it. He wants to be here.
But does this tweet help? It helps him, I believe, but it does not help us fans, right? It makes us just keep wondering and wondering. So, yeah, I think he's going to. Oh, boy. I shouldn't say. I'll just let you keep saying that he's going to come back. And if he doesn't, I can just rub it in your face and despise you all next season because Patrick Kane did not re-sign with us.
Well, just for the record, I did call the Patrick Kane signing originally.
That's fair. That is very fair.
So I will gladly continue to talk about how I do think Patrick Kane is coming back. I do think he wants to be here. I think the hashtag at the end of that tweet is everything you need to see and some. That kind of just puts the right on there.
Okay.
And, the work doesn't stop. Like, listen, we can read into this as much as we want, okay? Do you think Patrick Kane said when he came to Detroit, he chose Detroit? Do you think Yzerman and Derek Lalonde were telling him, "Patrick, we're going to be a playoff team this year. We're going to win playoff series this year"? No. I promise you they did not say that to him. And he still signed with Detroit. You got to look back at how this all started, right? And I look at that. I look at these tweets. I look at his play. I think I don't have any reason to believe that he's not coming back. I don't. And this whole thing with he wants a 3-year deal, give it to him. What do you have to lose? He gets injured? Okay, LTIR. Smell you later. Yzerman said this when he signed him. It's low risk, high reward. Go at it in the exact same mindset. understanding he's a year older, and there's that LTIR is there for a reason, right? That kind of eliminates the risk in this. Guys, it's Patrick Kane. If he wants 3 years, give him 3 years.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. I think what it comes down to is much like how we said earlier with Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider is that, okay, if we give them 3 years, okay, we know what we're getting next year, right? We know what the cap hit is going to look like for the team. But like in 3 years, is that really going to affect this roster as a whole? I mean, you'll have some names coming off the books like Ben Sherratt, Jake Wallman, I can't really think of Andrew Copp, so that's about close to $15 million right there. Then you'll have some of these younger players coming up. It just really, there's just so many, like the future, right? You gotta really consider that. And so then you got to look at his cap hit, it's gotta come in at friendly for us, right? If you could keep it around the $5 million for 3 years, done. And
yeah, but dude, even with performance bonuses, though, right? Like, what if he came in under 5? Right. What if he came in under 5?
And that's why that's why I don't think that the cap is so much of an issue. I think it's the term, but I mean, how many? And I think with Patrick Kane, you absolutely just give him the term because, like we said all season, Lucas Raymond got something from his mind. I want him to do that to Berggren. I want him to do that to Casper. I want him to do that with Danielson as well. And that's why I think that we will do whatever it takes to keep him here. And I think he kind of likes doing that with the young players too, right? So, Carlo, I just want to be respectful of our time. So, and everyone else's time before we go into another rabbit hole, because our main topic was pretty lengthy, but we appreciate y'all for sticking around. If you're still here, let us know what you think about
Thanks, guys.
In tweets. Let us know what you think that he might come back for, all that smooth stuff. And so continuing on, Carlo, we're going back to Andrew Gibson. We brought him up a little bit. Right-handed defenseman Andrew Gibson signs 3-year entry-level contract.
Hometown boy. Big fan, Gibby. Big fan.
He reports to Grand Rapids Griffins for the amateur tryout for the remainder of the season, playing in the playoffs. Will he get some playing time? I think they'll probably play him for a game. They already started in their playoff series. They won their game in overtime thanks to Janssen Berggren. Yep. So I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone here.
Yep, I like it.
Against the Rockford Ice Hogs, right? Chicago's affiliate. Are they Chicago's affiliate? I could be wrong.
I believe so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, shoot the messenger. Why don't you carry your pigeon, Anyways, yeah. Andrew Gibson, I think that's great. Greyhounds, yep. So
good points. Hey, he had a pretty decently productive year too.
I don't have that pulled up, so if you have that, please say it.
Yeah. So this, you want to talk about this year. First of all, I think we should talk about just like his mustache and his eyebrows, because Yzerman's just going after people with mustaches and eyebrows. But anyways, I digress. 68 games played, 12 goals, 32 assists, 44 points. And I know this, people kind of love and hate this one, but what do you think his plus minus was, Zach?
Well, I know that the team was really good that he was on, so I'm assuming it's a really good plus minus. 22?
36.
Wow.
Very good. Very good. And you know what? He's a pretty big boy too, eh? He's 6'3", 203 pounds. He shoots right. He's 19 years old. Again, hometown kid for me. So I'm already naturally a big fan. But yeah, I think he had a very productive year on, like you said, a relatively stacked team, and he did well. So I'm pretty happy with this signing. I think it's a great signing. Right hand shot too, which I love, and I think I hope he plays in GR. I really do hope he gets some ice time there to see what he can do, see what he's all about. But I love what Yzerman's doing with this D-core, man. It's no guarantee that every single one of them is going to be there. You know what I mean? When it's time. But I think he's making it a very competitive core. Like, he really is. Like, if you want to be on the big boy club, here's your competition. And like, he's not making it easy on these guys. And I love that. I think that's the way to go. surround everybody with very good talent, and you're left with very good players on the Detroit Red Wings. It's easy math.
Yeah.
But no, Andrew Gibson, loved the signing. I think he had a great year in the Sioux. Hoping he can translate that into the AHL with the Grand Rapids Griffins. I really think he can. And Viva la hometown kid, man. Let's rock and roll. Let's go.
Yeah. No, at most I could see him being, a bottom pairing guy, maybe a seventh defenseman. I don't think he's going to be ASP. I don't think he's going to be Seider.
No.
He's going to take a
he'll
little
be
bit.
a depth guy for sure.
But it's definitely an exciting contract to see, right? Because we don't have too many right-handed shooting defensemen in terms of prospects, right? We have Tuomisto, we have ASP, we have Seider's not really a prospect, but then we have Andrew Gibson too. So it's still exciting, right? He's just going to take a little bit longer than I think people might realize. So
he's 19. He's a baby deer. He's a baby deer still.
But there's a good chance that we might not see him until it's probably like 23 potentially. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I've been wrong many times in my life. So
well, the ELC is going to take him right there, right? 22, 23. So, we'll see what he can do. We'll see what he's all about.
Yep. Well, I'll just do this one next, talking about prospects, and I brought up ASP. He just won the SHL Cup today with Skellefteå.
Claps for ASP. Claps.
Congratulations. We're just sign your ELC. I know that you probably want to play in Sweden one more season, and that's probably better for your development, but you could just sign now. Your good buddy Andrew Gibson just signed, so just go over and play in the no, and that's probably why he probably wouldn't anyways, is because he's probably tired. Probably doesn't want to play with Grand Rapids in the playoffs, or maybe he does. I don't know, but
maybe he does. And I got a question: is leaving him in Sweden for another year the answer? Because I know Steve mentioned that he hasn't formally talked to him in his camp yet, but Steve kind of automatically assumed that we're going to leave him in Sweden for another year for development reasons. My question is this: do you think bringing him over next year to GR is a good or bad move? Development in mind.
Yeah, I think it's fine for him to go play over in Sweden one more season. Just work on defense. I think it's fine. When you kind of look at it too, we did that with, I guess you could say we kind of did that with Seider. Granted, COVID kind of had a role to play in that, right? He spent a year in Grand Rapids first as soon as he got drafted and then went over to Sweden, right? But 2 years, I think it's fine. I don't think it's going to really hurt him. I think if anything, it's going to help him. I don't know what Skellefteå's team is going to, I don't know anything about their team outside of ASP. Just going to put that out there. I don't know what their team's going to look like next season. Maybe he's going to get a bigger role. And so from there, I would expect his point total to continue going up. And so, even someone like Cale Makar, he took a couple years before making it to the big club too. And so, let him get comfortable. Being the number one power play quarterback, being, the PK guy, being, the lethal shot guy, in the face-off circle. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Do I think it's going to hurt him? No, I think it's honestly going to do more good than it is harm. But I don't think that there's a bad thing, even if he did come to Grand Rapids Griffins. I think he could do the exact same thing over here, and you get him familiar with the smaller ice and with the teammates
that I'm thinking
with for a long time. So
that's my train of thought, Zach, is do we bring him over and then have him start developing, on North American sheet of ice sooner than later? Because I don't want to say fast track. Like, I know everyone's excited about ASP. He's a really good hockey player, a very, very good talent. And I don't want to obviously do anything that's going to hinder his development. But I truly think, and I'm under the train of thought, and maybe I'm offside on this, I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. But bringing him over and letting him start going on North American ice, how can that be bad? How could that be a bad thing?
Well, we also don't know what Grand Rapids situation is going to be looking like next year. They have a lot of left-handed defensemen. They have Tuomisto. Now they have Andrew Gibson. They have a couple other right-handed defensemen over there as well. So there's just a lot going on. And so in terms of roster size and fit, it just might not make sense. So that could be a reason. Just one of those situations. And so, it's still a men's league in terms of, I guess it depends. How much better do you think AHL is from the Swedish Hockey League? They're two totally different types of leagues, but they're both very much a men's league, a growing game, right? And so, it really just all depends, but I think it's fine personally. But I see the argument why people want him in Grand Rapids for selfish reasons, but also because it makes sense reasons. So there's no right or wrong answer to that. Whatever happens, it happens. But if he stays in the Swedish Hockey League or Grand Rapids that following season, I would put money on that he would probably make the Red Wings after this upcoming season. So that's what I'm going to say and leave it at that.
Side bets are on, folks. Heard it here first. Drop your bets in the comments.
Some wings are making it to the World Championships. Larkin, Petrie, Lyon, Lalone. I believe there's one other coach or someone with the Red Wings that is in it too, but I couldn't find.
Alex Westland, goalie coach.
Thank you. And then Raymond is going to Sweden. You and Matt are very surprised, but also not surprised that Petrie is playing for USA because Lalone's the coach. I thought that was very funny that you guys said that earlier. But let's talk about really quickly. I'm just going to kind of go through this list, Carlo, if you want to jump in and speak something about these players. Just want to talk about some players in the playoffs. We already talked about ASP winning the cup over in Sweden. He put up 7 points, 2 goals, 5 assists in those 14 games. Nate Danielson for the Portland Winterhawks. He's got 13 points, 3 goals, 10 assists in 10 games. He just put up 3 points the other night. I saw that tweet. So good for him on doing that. Liam Dowler-Nilsson, I believe that their playoff run is over, but he put up 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points in 4 games. Anton Johansson.
That's good to hear.
Yep. Anton Johansson, his, I believe, finished with 7 games, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Dosette, he's got 3 assists with the Toledo Walleye. Tanias Matherin, he's got 3 points in his 11 games they did. Andrew Gibson, he only put up 2 points in his playoff 11 appearances with the Sioux Greyhounds. So it is what it is. But yeah, with the Grand Rapids starting, Amadeus Lombardi scored. Jan Tebergerin got the OT winner. Edmondson got an assist. Mazer got an assist.
All the names you want to hear, baby.
Yeah, pretty
all
much
the names you want to hear.
Yeah, you probably would have liked to have seen like a Marco Kasper or like Albert Johansson up there. But eventually, over time, that we're gonna have to meet up with the Hockeytown West podcast guys here pretty soon. And
for sure.
If I think once it gets closer down the series, I don't know if it's best out of 5 or is it best out of 7. Either way, we'll get in contact with them and hopefully they win the first series, and then hopefully we could do an episode with them and just ask them for a breakdown of like the first series, what they liked, what they didn't like. So We'll get in touch with them.
And speaking of Kasper, Zach, I know he wasn't on the score sheet, but there was a clip of him just absolutely expelling the dog that's in him and taking on like 4 guys, which was amazing. Like the guy is he'll run through a wall for you. So I know, again, he wasn't on the score sheet, but Kasper's got that dog in him, and that's the grit we want, which is good. So if you didn't see that, check that out. Check out Hockeytown West because they probably are the ones that clipped it. I'm pretty sure they did actually. So check them out. You can find that there because it was excellent to see Kasper and what I like to call expelling the dog.
Expelling the dog. No, you're good. You're good. No, I agree with you. From the clips that I noticed, it looked like that the Grand Rapids Griffins players, some of the young players, they definitely had some bite out there up against the Rockford Ice Hogs. So good for them. Continue it up. I'm probably actually going to buy the package to watch them throughout the playoffs. Hopefully they don't get knocked out in the first round if I jinx it. But let's quickly just do a little playoffs update. Vegas is up 2-1 on Dallas. The Avs are up 3-1 on Winnipeg. Vancouver's up 3-1 on Nashville. Mind you, I did not realize that when I was in Nashville that Friday that it was a home game, and I was this close to buying a ticket.
Dude, I don't know how you didn't do that. I have no idea how you didn't do that.
It was like $90 for standing room. We almost did it. And we did.
Standing room is the best, man. The best.
Yeah, I didn't feel like standing for 3 hours, but I ended up doing it at all the bars anyway.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
Yeah, I goofed. Edmonton up 3-1. Let's see here. Florida Panthers up 3-1 on Tampa. Oh, Edmonton on the Kings 3-1. Florida Panthers 3-1 on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Boston 3-1 on Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs. Jesus, below it. Go trade Marner away or something. Rangers.
Dude, did you see what happened on the bench?
Yeah. Little crybaby. Nylander calling out. Who is it? To Marner or Matthews? Either way. Doesn't matter.
I can't see him saying that to Matthews, but I think it was to Marner because Marner was looking at the refs when somebody skated by him and the wind was too forceful. Marner's looking at the refs. I'm like, guy, it was unreal. It was unreal. Yeah, you know what? I don't want to talk too much about that, but I really feel for the Leafs and Leafs Nation. Stick with them, but it's tough to see that. It's tough to see that, and I hope we don't have to see that when we're in that position. But that core is just not. They're just like their stat line is embarrassing.
It's been that way for the last 4 years, honestly.
No, I know, but like the fact that you can't beat that, you can't, get over that hurdle is crazy and very concerning too, Zach. Because I mean, I know we're not a Maple Leafs podcast, but go look at the players they need to re-sign next year and how much money they got to do it. Next year is going to be a very interesting year for the Toronto Maple Leafs, folks. But anyways, I digress way too much.
It is every year, Carlo. You're not wrong, though. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But glad that I shouldn't say it like this, but I am glad to see the Washington Capitals got swept by the New York Rangers. We probably could have made it a little more exciting. That's just my biased opinion. Washington.
I think we could have got 1 game, maybe 2 games for sure.
Alex Lyon could have stood on his head. Lucas Raymond could have pulled out the clutch gene. You got Patrick Showtime Kane. You got Alex Ovechkin not doing anything throughout the whole entire series. So, Then you got the Carolina Hurricanes up 3-1 on the New York Islanders. Sorry, Matt Leslie. Carlo, before we close it off here, honorary. Did I just say it like that? Honorary Red Wings mention of the week, buddy. Who do we got this week?
Folks, it's time. I just want to say with that playoff rundown that you just did, I am not surprised by any of those situations. I just want to say, my bracket looks very good right now. Anyways.
Go. Okay. No, sorry.
No, go ahead. I had to break that down. Who is there anything surprising to you there?
So the 3 that are actually surprising. I probably shouldn't be as surprised from this one. Edmonton beating the Kings. I actually had the Kings winning because I think Edmonton is very similar to Toronto. Very upfront heavy, not good goaltending or defense, really. I did have Winnipeg being Colorado. I just didn't think that the whole middle stat thing was going to work out, but they're just overall 6. So that one could have been a coin flip for me. I thought maybe Winnipeg was going to pull it around.
The regular season clouded your judgment on that one. You were probably thinking about Winnipeg beating Colorado 7-2 when you made that little circle on Winnipeg.
You're not wrong. Yeah, actually, that's exactly right. And then I did have Dallas beating Vegas, which is still possible.
You know what? That one might. I don't want to say I'm surprised because Vegas is lights out. They're all massive. It's Vegas, and they have $200 million in players on their team because it's Vegas and the whole cap thing. But I thought Dallas would have put up a little bit more of a fight. I don't want to say I'm surprised at the outcome of that because I really do think Vegas is the real deal and as real as it gets. I thought Dallas would have put up a little bit more of a fight and it would have really went 1-1. But maybe they'll give that one a little bit of I'm not that surprised, but it's
overall though. Yeah. I the East, it definitely went as planned as I thought it was going to in terms of, I didn't really think about how many games it was going to, but in terms of who I thought was going to win, even for the West, I thought that all of those could have been coin flips. So that's kind of where I sit with it. But going back to the original Carlo, Red Wings honorary mention of the week.
Coming at you right now, we have none other than Mr. Alexei Marchenko. Wow. Alexei Marchenko, defenseman.
What's he been up to?
100. I'll tell you about that, Zach. Give me a minute here. He played 110 games for the Detroit Red Wings, spanned over a few seasons. He had 19 points in those 110 games, 3 goals, 16 assists. Currently, and Zach, you're going to love this one, but he's up to this. He's playing in the KHL for AK Bars Kazan. No idea if I said that correctly, but we're going to go with it anyways. He's got 20 games under his belt this season with 2 apples, and that's it. 2 points in 20 games. Alexei Marchenko, we hope you're doing well, buddy. Claps for Alexei. What a beauty. What a beauty. That's your Red Wings honorary mention, folks. And don't forget, if there's a Red Wings player that you want us to honorarily mention, you drop that down in those comments. We will be looking at it. All 4 of these guys. And we'll be talking about it on an episode coming up soon. So please, drop us a line, drop us a like, subscribe, and you'll never know. You might hear your name called out on the show when we do our next rundown and our next honorary Red Wings mention. So we hope you enjoyed that. And again, Alexei Marchenko. Can't forget a name like that. You just can't.
Honestly, y'all can drop anything in the comments. Jesus, sorry, I just hit my elbow on my desk. But y'all can drop anything in the comments, and we'll probably give it a shout out. Honestly, We love the engagement. We want y'all to keep doing that with us, so we definitely appreciate it if you are. But yeah, Carlo, Alexei Marchenko. Kind of forgot about him, not gonna lie, but
that was a good pull. That was a good pull.
That's why we talk about these guys. But Carlo, yeah, I think we can wrap it up now. A little bit longer than we thought it was going to be, but still, honestly, a really great episode. And so I think our fans are going to like it. And if you did, reminder, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and then
hit the thumbs up. It's literally right there.
If you're on Spotify, rate us the 5 stars, and then hit that follow button. Yes.
Wow.
If Derek was here, it could have been a duet. I don't know if you're into duets or not, or else I would have asked you to ahead of time.
Yeah, I've been around a couple duets before, for sure.
Okay, well, we'll
make next time.
We'll make it a trifecta.
We'll make it a quartet, but it won't be a quartet. It'll be a
I couldn't
triptet.
think of the word. Thank you for helping me out there.
Yes, you're welcome.
And so, Carlo, we'll go ahead and close it out with our final thoughts.
For sure.
Go ahead.
Final thoughts are, I really, let's see what happens. I really think that this Seider Raymond deal is going to happen soon. Raymond's going to Sweden to play in the IIHF. He got the insurance that he was asking for in his media presser. That tells me something's close. Don't know if Seider's going to Germany. I don't think it's been announced, but look out for that this week. If that does get announced and those insurances are there, I think it's safe to assume that we're going to see some contracts coming down, the pipeline very, very soon. And hopefully it's in time for our next episode, which is scheduled for Sunday. This coming Sunday, which is in 6 days from today. And hopefully we can talk about it some more then and really break things down and take a look at the structure. But other than that, go Florida. I'm riding Florida hard. I really, that's all I got, Zach. Those are my final thoughts. And they're my thoughts, not yours. So,
well, I'm just going to hit the copy paste of all your thoughts and just insert them into mine and say, yeah, let's go Red Wings. Mo Seider.
Our final thoughts.
Our final thoughts
is adorable
of this episode. Our final thoughts. No, Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, please take team friendly deals. That would be appreciated. I would love to get Markstrom, but it's got to be cheaper than that. Just following up with some of the stuff we talked about. And Nate Danielson still killing it. ASP. What a draft class. Honestly,
dude,
killer.
Hey,
killer.
Yzerman's conversion rate's looking good, folks. There's lots to be excited about, and we're going to talk more about that conversion rate as we roll on over the course of the next few seasons here, because Yzerman's just throwing bullseyes, baby. So we're going to take that all the way to the bank.
White Iverson, Steve Yzerman, balling for the Wings.
Oh,
all right. Those are my final thoughts, not yours. We share them. Carlo and Zach. We'll see y'all on the next one. Hockeytown Rundown.
See ya. All right. Great episode, folks. See you later.